Bonjour and bienvenue. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, that's good. Do that.
No.
Prepare yourself for the terror. The prison of madness, where few enter and none return.
Welcome to Unsung Horrors. With Lance. And Erica.
Leave all your sanity behind. It can't help you now.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Unsung Horrors, the podcast where we discuss underseen horror films, specifically those which have fewer than 1,000 views on Letterboxd. I'm Erica.
I'm Lance.
Before we jump into our 7,000th French film for this year, I do have some bad news for you.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Your poster's been vetoed by John.
Seriously?
I'm sorry.
Oh,
So
I mean, that means bad news for y'all.
Well, I guess it's good news for you. So the gift that you bought intending to get back, you now have it back. So you have the Dr. Heckle and Mr. Hype poster too.
Okay, and I'm not going to lie. This was always my end goal.
That's fine. I'm glad you got what you wanted.
Yeah, I'm definitely framing this and putting it up in my studio.
Yeah, I don't think Sarah's going to let that be out in the main rooms.
No, obviously nobody will but me.
Yeah. Nobody, literally.
But the scalpel one was okay.
Yes, of course.
Good.
That one's totally...
But because if you want to give me that one.
I'm not giving you that one. That's mine. But yeah, sorry. Well, not sorry because you're happy.
Yeah, no,
you
this
get
is
it
a good
back,
way to start. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm stoked.
All right. Well,
Happy
I guess
birthday.
it's not bad news then. Happy birthday to Lance. All right. So as I made a joke about, we're doing yet another French film this episode. We're going to be talking about Invitation to Travel from 1982. This is available to watch on Cave of Forgotten Films or rarefilm.com. That's film with 2 M's. And as of this recording, it has 132 views on Letterboxd. I think, I don't know if I mentioned this at the end of the last episode, but this has a horror movie tag on it, on genre.
It does.
But it's really not, and that's fine because we've covered a few movies in the past that have really been more of other genres than horror. And like they have the tag on there probably because there's like one small element of it that someone considers horrific.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think like the Night Visitor kind of comes to mind that I picked, that Swedish one that doesn't have, there is a horrific scene at the end, but doesn't show much.
Yeah. The Man Who Thought Life, more
the
sci-fi.
Man Who Thought Life. Yeah.
And yeah.
Even The Passing, maybe. Yeah. A little foreshadowing. My next pick is kind of like that as well.
Okay.
So don't feel bad about Invitation to Travel.
I don't, because I like this movie, and
I'm glad there's a horror tag on it.
Yeah, it's got a horror tag on it, and that's our rule: is it's under 1,000 and it's got a horror tag.
Yes,
we can cover it. So, Invitation to Travel is mainly following a guy named Lucien, and he's mourning the loss of his twin sister, who is a rising rock star named Nina Scott. And he had promised never to leave her. They have a really strong connection. So when she dies, and I'm sorry, I spoiled her death at the end of the last episode because I realized I hadn't seen it since last year, and I forgot her death wasn't until like the middle of the film. Like they show her dead body in the beginning,
right? But
how she dies is not till the middle. So I kind of spoiled it for folks.
Yeah, well, you mentioned the cow juice.
Yeah.
That's what we call milk on this podcast. It's cow juice. Thanks to where would I pull
Jamie Gillis.
Yes, thanks to Deranged.
Yes.
Chuck Vincent's Deranged. But I don't think you said how she died.
I think I mentioned she
did you?
Got electrocuted in a tub of milk.
Damn.
Because you were like excited about that. You were like, I'm sold.
Basically. Well, I was still focused in on the twin incest and then jamming a body in like a cello case or whatever. That was very exciting.
Right, there's a lot of selling points in that short snippet, but that sells the movie. But then I'm sure that folks who watched it were like, wow, this is not what I thought it was going to be. Because yes, he does put her body into a cello case, and really he just embarks on this road trip where he encounters multiple people from different walks of life, all while trying to find his own identity, which up until this point in his life has really just been entwined with Nina's. Like his identity is just completely wrapped up in her. So, but we'll get into those philosophical details after we go through cast and crew. Invitation to Travel was directed by Peter Del Monte. I have not watched too many of his films. He's got a good filmography, but the only other film I've seen by him is one that stars Jennifer Connelly, and I'm going to butcher the name. I know I've talked about it before, I think on Horror Gives Back or maybe Junesploitation, but it's Etui from 1989. And you watched this one.
Yeah, I'm going to say Etoile.
Etoile?
But I don't know if that's right either.
That's probably better. Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah, no, I recently watched this. I'd never seen it before. I'd never seen any Peter Del Monte films at all. I liked it. Mm-hmm. I thought it was... I watched it before Invitation to Travel, so there is definitely a style that Peter Del Monte has, which I really liked, and I feel like I'd like Etoile better on a second viewing. Mm-hmm. Very dreamlike, otherworldly quality. Yeah. I tried to watch 2 of his other films, Little Flames and Traveling Companion with Asia Argento, but the auto-generated captions were just butchering everything.
Yeah, I started a few and I gave up with the and so it's also been a very busy week, so I didn't do as many as I normally would for this. What I did do is we went to We Love Video and I just went to the French section because I was like, I'm just going to find something random for a double feature pick maybe. And I did watch one, and I'll talk about that when we get to double feature picks. I didn't pick it ultimately for it because the rewatch kind of made me think of another movie that I did, but I do recommend that other one. I'll get to that when we get to double feature picks at the end. But Peter Del Monte, the 2 I've seen from him, I do like, and so I am interested to see more. But I agree. He's got a very sort of slow and deliberate storytelling method that I think is going to be a turnoff for a lot of people. But there's a moment in Etoile where or a few moments where it's just Jennifer Connelly walking around slowly with candles. And it's the 100% mood.
It is. Yeah. And I love movies with a bunch of fantasy nonsense, and where it's just, minimal dialogue and stuff. But Etoile for me was a little too slow for me to really sink my teeth into, just really start loving. But like I said, I do feel like Invitation to Travel does help. I don't know, with the rewatch of Etoile, I think I would enjoy it a little more. Yeah. It made me more excited to check out Peter Del Monte's other stuff for sure.
Maybe that's just a thing with him where it's first watch is I liked it. And then the second watch, you're I really liked it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I could like Invitation to Travel a little more on the second watch too.
I see what his game is now. He's getting everyone to watch his movies twice.
But a lot of people don't do that, so it's a dangerous.
Very dangerous game he's playing there. Yeah. Screenwriters for this was the director Peter Del Monte and Franco Ferrini, who, when his name popped up, I was like, oh shit, because his credits are massive and include many of our favorite Italian horror films. Yeah. Like Demons 2, and he was a frequent collaborator with Dario Argento. So he's got co-writing credits on Phenomena, Opera, Stendhal Syndrome, and even as recent as Dark Glasses. So he's still working with Argento.
Yeah, he's great. Even did one of our picks, Rings of Fear, or was it Red Rings of Fear?
Mm-hmm. Red Rings of Fear, yeah. The Fabio on the roller coaster.
Yes.
Best thing ever.
Great beige cardigan.
Oh, God, he's so hot.
And we're going to take a break.
No pants. So the score was by Gabriel Yared. A lot more mainstream movies in his credits. Things like The Talented Mr. Ripley, starring Matt Damon. 1408 from 2007. The English Patient.
Interesting.
City of Angels, things like that. So very mainstream for the most part.
Yeah, and we had mentioned that Invitation to Travel isn't necessarily a straight horror film, but I feel like Yared's original score kind of helped it, especially in the beginning. There's some good synths and synth scores, a lot of tension building in the very beginning, which I really respected. But it's not a horror.
Yeah,
which we'll talk about.
It's not, and I think there's one point where the score really stood out because it was when he was burning her body, and it was really cacophonous, and I was like, this doesn't fit. This doesn't fit.
Yeah, it gets a little weird, and I don't know, maybe that it could possibly be intentional because the movie just is kind of crazy on its
Yeah.
own as it moves along. But yeah, I did feel like the score kind of loses me in the very beginning. It's why he's taking the cello down, to strapping it to his car. It's very like synth, just ding, every once in a while. And then once he starts driving, it almost gave me like a Assault from Precinct 13, like type of weird little beat with these little Carpenter twinges. Like it sounded cool, but then it started getting a little more classical and more like Talented Mr. Ripley.
Yeah. But it does get overshadowed by the soundtrack song. Which
Nina Scott's songs.
Yeah.
Which to me sound like they sounded like that those Italian, who was that singer? It sounds like made up English. Like that one song by Adriano Celentano, where he's like, it's made up English.
Yeah.
There's a title of the song that you can't even like try and pronounce.
Yeah.
It's just gibberish.
We don't stay in the shoes now, and whole building scene in a whole rate, maybe get the color boss dying. Chance of mine, we get a cold, Bevis is staying yet, Bill Joe.
But when she was singing, I was like really leaning into it, thinking, do these English lyrics actually make sense? Because she's singing in English.
Yeah, they don't. And so it was interesting because, like, I don't know if you noticed, but in the opening credits, it lists Nina Scott. And so I was like, wait, is she like a real singer playing herself? Because Letterboxd and IMDb have her listed as Corinne Renaud. And so I was like, wait, is she a singer? And this was her only film credit for Corinne Renaud. So I did find a song by another Nina Scott, and I spent way too much time trying to figure out if they were actually the same person, and they are not. But because of the amount of time I spent on that, I am using the Nina Scott song that I found as an outro to make this time spent well worth it.
Hell yeah.
Not the Nina Scott in the movie. It's a different Nina Scott song. So just FYI.
Oh, I love that. I didn't even notice that, and I didn't look that closely at the credits. I like that, though.
I don't, because it confused me for a long time. And I was like, why don't you put a real name on there? Because anyway, not the same Nina Scott. We'll get to back to cast in just a second. The film itself, I should have mentioned this before, is actually based on a novel. And back when I first watched it, I was interested to actually read it. And I couldn't find an English language version of it. It might be online somewhere, but I can't read on computers or Kindles. I never could, never will. But it's based on a book or a novel by Jean Bonnet called Moi, ma soeur, Images.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah. If I find an English language version in print someday, I'll get around to it. All right. Cinematography is by Bruno Newton. And I think his most well-known credit is Zulawski's Possession. And I was very surprised to see that pop up. I don't see necessarily like any sort of through line between the two, but it's just neat to be like, oh shit, he did one of the greatest films ever made.
Yeah, and there's standout framed and lit shots throughout this movie that make you just pause it, like, and just stare. Like, they're really great scenes that I'll probably pick up on some of my favorite moments in a bit. But the cinematography and photography looks great.
Yeah, especially like there's a lot of shots when they're in the loft together that really stood out to me.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just say it, like that one flashback scene of Lucien and Nina, and they're naked and they're facing each other, and you can't even tell whose limbs are who.
Yeah.
It's like a painting, and it's lit like this kind of ambient lighting, but like a pitch black background. It just looks so good, like a picture that's moving and talking to each other. And also the scene where he finds her in the bathtub and shines the flashlight on her. It's like, yeah, the lighting in this and the framing is just spot on.
All right, so getting into the cast, Lucien is played by Laurent Mallet. I have not seen any of his other films. Lance, did you?
I don't think I have.
I didn't see anything that I recognized, and honestly, nothing really stood out to me, so I wasn't really in a rush to...
Oh, the Fassbender, the Quirrell. Is that how you say it? That one I've seen, and it's great, with Franco Nero's in it.
Oh, okay.
That one was on Max for a long time. Looks like it's on Tubi now.
Is he leaning up against a giant cock? Yes, he is.
He is. Yes,
Excellent. That has a release coming out. I remember.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, because like everyone thought the artwork was like AI generated because the way like that it looked, people thought like
the cover and stuff.
Yeah, like the cover art for the Blu-ray release.
Okay. Yeah. No. I saw that years and years ago, and it's really great. Curel. I don't know if I'm saying it right, but it's fantastic.
Excellent.
I don't know if he has a huge part in it, but this he looked like when he first jumped up and he was driving with his shades on and his leather jacket. He reminded me of Jason Patric from The Lost Boys.
Yeah, he definitely.
They both have those luscious lips, if you will. Like they have that look. Good looking French actor.
Yeah. So I already talked about Corinne Renaud, who plays his sister Nina, or Nina Scott. This is her, like I mentioned, this was her only film credit. So she is a mystery wrapped in an enigma.
Possibly a singer. There's a lot going on.
I mean, if that's her real voice, then she can get one out. But yeah, I don't know. Okay, then we have Robin Renucci, who played Gerard. And I think sort of the standout here is going to be Mario Adorf, who played his Turkish friend Timur at the very end. He's in a lot of our favorites. Italian Connection, Bird with the Crystal Plumage, Short Night of Glass Dolls, What Have They Done to Your Daughters, Caliber 9. His daughter gets run over in the Italian Connection. It's in the book. Some of you got that magnet for that reason.
Hell yes. Yeah, no, he's a great actor. Great face.
Yeah, I love it when he shows up in like anything. It's always a treat. Like we were watching it, doing the rewatch for me earlier, and John was watching it. He saw Mario Adolf's name pop up, and he was like, "Oh, got excited." He got excited.
Did you guys notice? And we'll probably talk about this, but that's him in the very beginning with that fighting with that train guy, like running off, like during the opening credits when Lucien like drives by. There's a weird random scene of a guy like fighting with the bag.
I didn't think that was him. I didn't pick up on that, but I wouldn't be surprised because there does seem to be like this sort of cyclical nature of all these people who came in and out of his life.
Right.
Like when so the story of the hitchhiking klepto woman.
Yeah.
She's saying like she left her husband to go meet up with this guy. But at one point, Lucien is in a hotel room with his sister and the cello, and they're in bed together. And his phone rings. And I thought that was her trying to reach George, her husband, or something like saying, I never should have left. And I was like, is that the woman trying to reach her husband?
Yeah, I wasn't sure. Well, that I think was a flashback because that was before. I think it was a flashback before he even met her, right?
I think that was him in a hotel room waiting for the boat.
Oh, okay. I think you're right. Yeah, no, because it does like everybody. I love how every character is first introduced without you even knowing. Like when he goes to that weird gas station, that weird tchotchke store, like it's like a Goodwill.
It's like Buc-ee's, but like
with like ceramic shoes and just weird random shit. They're all in there. The artificial flower salesman, the kleptomaniac woman. But yeah, in the very beginning, because I did a quick, fast rewatch, I even paused it and he had the same bag. In the very beginning of the opening credits, he had the same bag that he had when he was hit by the car by Lucien. So it's like, it was him jumping off the train and he was like escaping something. It was strange.
Nice. Okay. I mean, it makes sense because like he is like, he's at the beginning and he's not in the middle, but he's towards the end. But then we think we're done with him. And then he pops up again and we see him, he's bussing the restaurant. And then like, basically he and Lucien end up sort of together in the end. We'll get to the end later, but I do like how it does a lot with minimal characters.
Yeah. And there are a lot, like, I mean, we're not going to cover them on the cast, but like the Norwegian woodsman and the old man pool cleaner who has great taste in music.
Yes. He loves his jukebox, but he doesn't know Nina. So he's like, oh,
he even mentions Nina Hagen, the godfather of German punk. Like he's all, ooh, yeah, she does it for me. Yes, this guy, he knows what's going on.
Yeah, but he hates
Julio Iglesias. Yeah, he calls out Lou Reed, Bowie. I'm like, this is this is me in like 2 years. I'm going to be a pool cleaner, and like my family's they don't care if I disappear for a while.
I'm going to be waking up in the back of people's cars.
Yeah, just laughing. Take me to the cemetery.
Oh, I love. He's probably my favorite character in the whole thing, even though he had like the shortest amount of time.
Yeah, he was great.
So I want to like kind of circle back, not to the beginning, but to a question for you, Lance.
Mm-hmm.
What would you do with Cody's body?
I mean, I think it's a different situation. So
there's obviously there's a very incestuous thing happening here. And I know, well, I think there's nothing incestuous going on with you and Cody. So
yeah, and I thought like, what if Cody was, what if we weren't identical twins and we weren't, we were fraternal twins, and he was born a woman, but that's kind of like the immediate horror too. Like I already said, kind of the soundtrack kind of, helped. Like immediately I thought this kind of feels like a horror when it starts.
Yeah. And
then within 10 minutes or so, you get the incest between the twins. And that's pretty horrific. Like it's just unnatural, obviously. Mainly because I feel like twins are so close in age. I feel like give your siblings a couple of years difference and it makes more sense to me. Like, but twins is like, that's a little too intimate. Oh. Like that's crossing a line.
Okay. So incense between siblings that have a few years age gap is okay, but twins is no, you're crossing a line. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, what's already been shared in that womb is like between y'all two. Like that's keep it at that, right?
Okay.
If Cody died though, in a tub of cow juice, by electrocuting himself like a poor idiot, I'd probably stuff him in a cello and go on a road trip.
I mean, because they had plans they were already going on a road trip. They had an answering machine message recorded. They were ready to go. And so he's essentially saying, well, I'm going to do this. I'm going to fulfill what we were supposed to do together. But ultimately it turns into more about it's a journey, not the destination kind of thing. And like he's discovering who he is, and he doesn't really have any like identity outside of his sister, at least from what we know about him.
Right. We know he worked the stables.
Yeah. That's
one thing that I think for me, and maybe it's completely intentional, but I think it falls a little short and almost fails at, because right away that there's this kinship and this, bond, this never-ending bond between these twins. But the flashback scenes, the first time they're kissed, Lucien, he almost looks surprised. He almost looks taken aback. And I kind of felt that too. Like, oh, okay, weird. When they kiss for the first time and then they start kissing more. I kind of wanted more of flashback scenes of their connection. Mm-hmm. So I didn't, like I said, it could be intentional, but I didn't know what his life was before this. Like, I don't understand why he is 110% invested in just doing this with Nina.
Right.
But I did like how it essentially becomes, to me, it felt like a farewell tour. Like he was stopping by old friends' houses, and maybe it was like their intended journey, but he's stopping at old friends' houses. He's going back to the stables to ride a horse for the last time before he completely dissolves into, what happens at the end. Mm-hmm. Like he kind of already sets himself up, and you get hints of it happening well before you get to these stops. But yeah, no, I wanted more of the twin background.
Yeah, I did too. And because it makes it, when we get to the end and you're like, okay, this is where it went. And the first time I watched it, I was like, oh, okay, this is where we're going with it. And this wasn't the movie I was expecting the first time. And that's why when I mentioned picking it last episode, I was like, I want a reason to rewatch this because I think knowing what I know about it, I'll like it more the second time around, like the director is intending to do with all of his movies. Like, you must watch twice.
For sure. Yeah. Like this time around, I didn't know what I was expecting to. I really enjoyed it the first time. But like I said, I think the second time will be even more, because because that horror tag, that's why we're covering it, isn't really there. But it is like essentially a road trip movie.
Yeah.
It's very melancholy. And I kept thinking back of Gus Van Sant's My Own Private Idaho. I kept thinking, like, I think that would make a good double feature, but I'm trying to pick like a horror in my mind.
Yeah.
But like these troubled romantics that are kind of going to this unknown destination.
Yeah.
And all the while they're meeting up with odd characters, or meeting with Udo Kier, who dances with the lamp,
Oh, Udo.
and they just, they just meet and abandon these odd characters. And that's what this movie felt very much like. And I really liked it.
Yeah. I mean, you can pick that movie because I think
it would be a perfect
I
double
picked
feature.
Weekend at Bernie's, so I don't know why you're like stuck on having to pick a horror movie. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, if you did, that was my double feature pick. I'm going with Weekend at Bernie's too. No, I'm trying to stick with the horror movie, but I'll break down my double feature picks when we get to them. But yeah, it's definitely like this weird, sad road trip, and it's very much like a drama with. I don't know. It's more than a drama. It's a lot more. It's just a weird fantasy.
Yeah, it's getting back to like the road trip movie though. Like good horror road trip movies. I guess like Race with the Devil, but that I'm trying to think, but that also has fucking stupid Peter Fonda.
There's that one with Ray Wise and Lynn Shay called Dead End, which is a French production. It is a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
I thought of that. I actually thought of Midnight Ride as well, because it is kind of
right. Yeah.
But other than the fact that it takes place in a car most of the movie, there's really not much to pull from.
Yeah, it's not an intentional road trip. It's more like an escape via car movie. But yeah, like road trip movies, like. I hate to even say it, like Jeepers Creepers garbage. It feels like a very 90s or 2000s genre, I mean, I know someone's gonna like chime in and argue like, well, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and I'm like, yeah, the majority of that movie doesn't take place on the road. Like,
yeah, I feel like if it's a setup for something else, it's not a road trip movie. I mean, it's not Freddy Got Fingered or whatever those, or is it called Road Trip? I don't even know.
Road Trip, yeah. But yeah, it's hard to find good movies in that genre, but it's also like, The Hitchhiker or The Hitcher.
Yeah.
Duh.
Yeah, I mean that one's the ultimate, I guess, if you look at it.
Yeah.
Did I pick that one, Mirage, when we covered? But that one is kind of all over. There's stops and stuff. Like that one's kind of like a vacation.
Yeah,
horror.
they're like camping in the desert kind of thing.
Right.
So, but yeah, anyway, so I got off topic here because I was like annoyed about the genre. I was like, there's no good ones. Yeah. And then I remembered The Hitcher, and I was like, the genre is saved by The Hitcher. Thank you, Rutger Hauer.
Yes. So
a few things that stood out to me, and this is like me being weird and nitpicky about details, but one of the bars that he pulls up to with the klepto hitchhiker, he parks in the parking lot and it's chaos. Every car is like pointed a different direction, and my OCD could not fucking handle this. And I was like, are there no fucking lines here? Did people just like roll up and just decide I'm just going to park in whatever fucking angle I want to? I'm sorry. It completely irrelevant, dumb detail that shouldn't even be talked about in a film discussion, but is one of those things where like my OCD got triggered, and I was like, Jesus.
It's a memorable moment. I mean, I didn't recognize it, but maybe that's how they do it in France.
Oh my God. That's just cat's chaos, people. The fake flower salesman, when he picks her up, like in between the two times that Lucien picked her up, him making a joke about like, I know I'm no Belmondo, but I'd still, and I was like,
funny.
I was like, I got a chuckle out of that one. That was fun.
Yeah. I love all those, like we've already hit on most of the side characters, but they're all so very horny.
Yeah.
Those Norwegian guys.
Yes.
The artificial flower guy who's basically trying to rape the kleptomaniac.
Yeah.
Who also is horny enough to sleep with Lucien. Like, everybody's very horny, and I respect it.
Yeah.
I respect the horniness. But yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah.
The only people that really aren't are the pool cleaner man, and then the murderer who, I mean, maybe he was horny maybe he was horny, but his wife wasn't, and he murdered her.
Maybe, I mean, we didn't see what happened after he got dropped off at the cemetery, so he could be getting his rocks off at the cemetery.
That's true. Yeah. And then now I'm thinking also of the guy who admitted to killing his wife, that he murdered his wife, and like that could be it could have been drawn off. Like everybody just could be a horny,
Yeah.
hot mess, which makes a great movie.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean that's what happens when you hit the road. You know, you got a destination, and that destination is,
I love it when him and Lucien first part ways, and he's like, "Hey, do you need some money?" And he's all, "Oh, I already took it from you. I knew you were a good friend." Like, he's such a good character.
Yeah,
Good stuff.
So I think there's reason for me to potentially watch this a third time. I don't know how soon I would do it, but I think the big reason for that is because I know, or I think, that this was about Lucien keeping Nina alive, sometimes figuratively, and in the end, literally, but we'll get to that. But is part of him figuring that out tied to the people he met on the road? Like, is there something from each of those people that drives him further and further into what he ultimately does at the end? Or did he have that intention all along? Because I was trying to find like little things with each person. I'm like, what would he have gotten from this person or from this interaction that would have impacted the next stage in this trip, in this voyage that he's going on, you know?
Right. Yeah. I think like the stops, like I said, I think it reminded me of like a farewell tour. Like the intentional stops, that is, not the characters that stumble his way. It almost felt like to me that he picked up a murderer or a proclaimed murderer. He said he killed his wife and there was blood everywhere. He picked up a woman who ditched her husband and is she's a kleptomaniac. She's very impulsive. She goes to clubs and sleeps with strangers. It almost felt like it was justifying what Lucien was doing. And like, it's not that bad. It's not like he's murdering his wife or anything. You know, he's taking a road trip. He's doing a final goodbye with his dead sister and he's like becoming her. Like, and I don't know. I felt like it was almost a way to justify his decision making. Like, the world's fucked up. I could see why you want to disappear.
I think that makes sense. Because when I was watching it this time, you know, I was kind of grasping at straws, like trying to make a connection between like, okay, what would like this woman and like her life have to do with, how does it tie in with his journey? Or is she just like a part of this experience for him? And it's not necessarily spiritually significant or anything like that. But
right. I bet there is. I really think there is. Cause like they really hit on like, she didn't have her shoes. Mm-hmm. And I feel like there's something there, and he bought that random shoe at the gas station. Do you remember?
Yeah.
And they never really hit on what that was about. I feel like they hit on the other items, but they didn't. It looked like to me like a ceramic shoe.
Yeah. Like
this weird home decor thing.
Glass slipper almost to be like, is it like an allusion to Cinderella or is it an allusion to Wizard of Oz?
Yeah, because when she's climbing into the back seat, when she first picks him up to grab a towel, her one shoe falls off.
Yeah.
Remember that? And it is kind of like Cinderella crawling in their back seat. And then they end up going to the ball, and then they do have sex. And he has this last like moment of ecstasy before you could be onto something there.
Okay. Well, I'll take it. I was
and then you got the woodsman, which is like another Disney character. I think maybe he's pulling from Disney movies.
It's a fairy tale. Okay. So then the Mario Adolf character who says he murdered his wife.
He could be the wolf in Little Red Riding Hood. I don't know. I'm just reaching here now.
Yeah, now we're reaching. Okay. Well, I think if I went into it with that thought on the third watch, maybe then I could, make some of those connections there. Twins. Hansel and Gretel aren't twins. They're just siblings, and they're not, they don't fuck. Not that I know of.
Yeah. The twin thing I think is essential for the whole plot.
Yeah.
Like what happens at the end. And there is one great scene going back to the cinematography where they first kiss for the first time, and they're by a swimming pool, and there's like, it's a reflection. It's kind of a far off shot, and they're kissing, and then it's a reflection of them in the pool.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know. It felt very like these twins are just reflections of themselves. Like, it's like I get it. I feel this. I feel this moment. That's me and Cody right there, just going at it.
I think, that shot and the one that you mentioned earlier about when they're naked and their bodies look entwined, like just very deliberate moments happening to emphasize the sort of oneness of them and how they're just like literally like you can't tell their body parts from each other. They just look like they are one entity.
Yeah, it's brilliant. I think some of the way these scenes and shots are filmed, like the way they look.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Any other favorite moments that we haven't talked about yet?
Let's see. So first off, I loved when Nina Scott's hair is trimmed just like her brother's.
Yeah,
like they do look like they're completely different actors of different ages, I'm sure. But they, from the back and like from profiles, they look the same.
Yeah.
Like her hair is exactly, or his hair is exactly like hers, however you want to phrase it. But I loved her short haircut, and he commented on that right away. Yeah, most of the scenes, I think it's a lot of just the shots. I thought the wreck when the guys ram Lucien off the road, he goes in this ditch, and then the camera is just stationed. It's like locked in place, and it's just perfectly shot how it's him driving to the actor, and he goes into the ditch, and he kind of goes straight towards the camera, and it's like perfectly lit, perfect stunt. Like it's just real impressive. But overall, I really love the weather in this, and I felt like it felt intentional too to the story. So there's one scene where like the first raindrop hits the windshield for some reason. It's just like boop.
Yeah.
And then it kind of cuts to him driving, and then it's introduced. He's like in a tunnel, and it's just this downpour. It's this crazy storm, which I just loved. And I thought like, okay, well, this is going to get rocky, you know? And then when he hits the murderer with the car, it's snowing at that point. So it's like, I don't know. I felt like the seasons or the weather represented something, but I can't figure it out.
John's mentioned like, it's a good thing it's wintertime because otherwise that body would be getting pretty ripe.
That's true. When he opened up the cello case, I was like, "Oh my god, please have like some rot or
I know
decay on it."
Lance is like, "Here comes a horror movie," and then no,
she's gorgeous. I'd keep her too. And then there's one scene in particular that I really liked. It was when he was having a flashback of watching his sister's video, and then it's basically, I think he's at the bar or something, and he's looking at a video of her. And then the song ends and there's just like no sound. Like the filming stops and it looks like she's talking with no audio to somebody off screen. And it just kind of, and that's when he hits the guy, cuts to him, hitting the murderer.
Yeah.
But it's like, I don't know, it's maybe like 25 seconds long of just no sound. And you're just watching the TV screen as him. And you're kind of getting lost. Like, okay, well, here's where like, the love and like just he's completely obsessed with his twin sister. It reminded me of Alan Parker of Pink Floyd's The Wall. Like just that scene alone and, all the music that was involved and kind of Bob Geldof type of Pink character was like Lucien, like the way he even looked and stuff.
Yeah.
It just reminded me of that scene, and it gave me like really comforting kind of like sad melancholy vibes.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are pretty much my favorites. I mean, there's a lot to like about this thing.
Yeah. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I do want to talk about the ending though, because I think this is where, I think a lot of people, myself included, first time I watched it was like, okay, he's just, like you kind of said, like farewell to her, like last road trip. Like he's keeping her alive by like telling people about her music and putting her posters up and like, telling friends like, oh, she's gone, but I'm on this road trip with her kind of thing. And if it would have ended with him burning her in the cello, I would have been like, okay, this is fine.
Yeah, great scene.
In the end, he gives his passport to Moore and is like, here, you be me. So now his identity is completely gone now. He's, given over his passport and said, here, you be me, because I'm going to go be Nina now.
Right.
And he dresses up as Nina and he gets on a boat and I guess he's headed to Turkey with his new buddy.
Yeah. I guess he has her passport too. Like, I don't know. Like I
would assume so.
Yeah, he totally just takes over and you see it. I didn't know what to expect at the end, but there was one early scene where It looks like he casually just applies maybe some blush or something, just like to those lower cheeks. And then that's when I immediately thought, what I thought was he was going to become Nina and put on a live show, like, as her and perform as Nina.
So good.
I know, that's what I was like, oh my God, is this going to happen? But as it progressed, I was like, okay, this is interesting. There's no real more indicator of that. And then when it finally happened, I mean, I loved it. I loved the ending. Yeah. And I want to know, like, where'd you get, like, do y'all wear the same shoe size? Like, you definitely planned this because you have your outfit.
Yeah. I mean, he's got her clothes. I mean, if they're twins, their body frames are probably fairly similar. The shoe size thing, I was like, okay, you play in the shoes for sure.
He was a little guy, though. I mean, they seemed about the same height, too. But I loved how it ended. And I did, as soon as I saw him applying that makeup that first time, that's where I wanted it to go. Yeah. So I was really pleased with the end.
I'm glad too that they didn't make a big deal of it, like, oh, he's trans now, or he's this now, or what, it's nothing like that. It's just, you see him dressed as Nina walking upstairs, like you see from the back, you don't even see the front, like, so they don't,
you see him applying close-ups of the eyeshadow and stuff.
They don't exploit it. And so it's, to me, that makes it much more not exploitative, like I said, and then just sort of like more intimate, like, no, this is, and have it make sense. Like, that makes sense. He's going to be his sister now because that's all he really knows. That's all his identity is. Yeah,
it's kind of a happy ending. I mean, it's really like he, you realize this is what he wanted. And this is, it's very sad his sister's dead physically, but now he is. And, it's like, now it's she's her. But how great would it have been if that last scene, they're panning up and, you see Lucien now is Nina, his back or her back looking out on the water. Mm-hmm. She just turns around like Frankenfurter and she's like, hey, everybody. And then credits roll.
That would have fit with the movie completely, Lance.
That would have.
But I do agree with you that like one song as Nina, or at least the start of a song, or at least like a music cue and then like a
that would have been cool.
Would have been cool. But
I'm very happy with how this ended. I think it's a beautiful way to end it. Completely, leaves you thinking and looking back on the whole movie.
So sorry, folks, for who, if anyone's new here and showed up looking for a horror movie, that's not what this is, but Letterboxd gave it that tag. So
it's eligible. It's definitely eligible. Yeah. And I'm glad we covered it.
Yeah. It sounds like we're both on the recommendation side of this for sure.
100%.
Again, this is on Cave of Forgotten Films, rarefilm.com. I'm hoping for a release of this someday because I think there could be some like great special features to go with this and some great analysis from some critical thinkers out there, not me, but like,
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, I tried to watch Little Flames, which from what I could tell was about a little kid who was having problems with dealing with like his parents' separation or something. But he had these 3 make-believe characters that would walk in and talk to them throughout the movie. And it looked really, really well done. Like it looked like something I'd be so into. So I was really kind of sad that I couldn't find a good version with English subtitles. Same for A Traveling Companion, because Traveling Companion is Asia Argento. She stars in it. And she basically looks like she's doing what Lucien's doing. She's just on the road and just kind of meeting odd characters. Yeah. So I'd kind of like to check that out too. So I do hope Peter Del Monte gets more releases out there.
Yeah. What about double feature pick, Lance?
So I actually had a tough time with this one.
I did too.
Because maybe because of the lack of horror, and I wanted to pick of horror, but right away I thought My Own Private Idaho would be great. Yeah. I even thought Perry Farrell's Gift came to mind again, which I picked for Corpse Mania. Yeah. I mean, because that one would work too. A man comes home, finds his lover dead, keeps her body with him to like relive memories and share some final necro loving moments. Which as you do. I even thought of Pink Floyd's The Wall because of the music element and stuff. Mm-hmm. That sad, lonely isolation you get with Lucien, who you kind of see in Bob Geldof's Pink. And then I thought road trip movies, Midnight Ride. Wild at Heart. David Lynch's Wild at Heart. I thought of this one as well.
Lord, Darren's in that.
It has, Lula Sailor driving around and just they're kind of running away from trouble, and they're encountering these odd circumstances, like these sexual encounters. And they're following their Yellow Brick Road, which Lucien's kind of seems to be doing. Yeah. I know you hate Laura Dern, though, so I'm staying away from that.
Thank you.
But ultimately, I'm going to go with another David Lynch film, which excites me. I'm picking Lost Highway.
Nice.
Mainly because while Lynch, he doesn't usually offer any interpretation really concerning his films, he and co-writer Barry Gifford did describe Lost Highway as psychogenic fugue, which I looked this up. I was like, this is interesting. It's a disorder of memory that occurs following an emotional or psychological trauma and results in a loss of one's personal past, including personal identity, which seems to fit Lucien's journey and invitation to travel kind of perfectly. He loses his closest family member, his lover, and he slowly starts kind of losing himself until he ultimately becomes her. So in Lost Highway, Bill Pullman's character, Fred Madison, he's accused of butchering his wife, and he doesn't have any memory or belief that he actually did it. So in prison, and I'm sure most people have watched this, but he transforms into Balthazar Getty's character, Pete. And so Pete's character starts experiencing all these odd characters, these, again, weird sexual encounters and tense situations while on the road of a lost highway. There's, like I said, there's that scene in Invitation to Travel where we talked about a woman randomly calls Lucien, and she's like, "Where's George?" That scene gave me like mad. It's very random. You don't know who it is, who really is on the other line. You don't know why it's there. It gave me mad Lost Highways vibes too. So I'm gonna pick this for this dreamy, otherworldly, psychogenic fugue double feature.
I like it.
What about you?
My brain went to a lot of different places. Obviously, the first place I went was Weekend at Bernie's, because I mean, how do you not? But movies with dead people cargo, National Lampoon, Little Miss Sunshine,
I've actually never seen that.
It's dead body cargo in there.
I'll watch it.
One there, maybe like a French road thriller like The Vanishing from 1988. The one that I rented from the video store was called Red Lights from 2004. It's about a couple, and they're not necessarily going on a road trip, but they're traveling a long distance to go pick up their kids from summer camp. And they get in an argument and split up. She's like, "I'm going to take a train." And because he's like determined to stop at like every bar on the way there or something like that. So she disappears and he's trying to like chase a train and he can't track her down. But while he's doing that, he ends up picking up a hitchhiker who is an escaped convict and gets into some trouble with this guy and goes through some traumatic incidents. So, I liked it. It was good, but I don't think it really worked as a double feature with this. It didn't have anything really thematically in common with it other than like, we're driving along the road for a while. So I ultimately wanted to kind of focus in on, so in the very opening of Invitation to Travel, we see Lucien and he's just like opening the cello case. He puts a pillow in there and then it pans up and we see Nina's dead body, but we don't know how. Like, how did she die? I mean, if you listen to the last episode, I spoiled it for you, so sorry. But we don't know how. So the rest of the movie is these flashbacks and piecing it together, and him trying to figure out like who he is and like all of these pieces. So there's also this sort of quote unquote complicated familial relationship. So I'm going to go with Old Boy from 2003.
Oh, yes.
Park Chan-wook, not the fucking Spike Lee remake. Don't even...
Brolin, right? Josh Brolin.
Yeah.
James Brolin.
I love Josh Brolin, but no. Because that movie opens right away with him just being like, what the fuck is going on? Like, he has no clue. And then he's imprisoned for like 15 years and he doesn't know why. So there's thematically, you could say that Lucien is, mentally imprisoned. He doesn't know who he is and he needs to, escape. And then of course, like Old Boy ends with like the fucking doozy of a incest moment. So, but yeah, so of course I'm going to pick a double feature with incest when we're covering a movie with incest. Like, how could I not? Like, I know everyone out there is surprised I didn't pick a necrophilia movie. So
yeah, that's a surprise, but this one's good.
I could have picked Corpse Mania too, but anyway. So yeah, Old Boy 2003. If you haven't seen it, it's a goddamn masterpiece.
It is a masterpiece. That's a 5-star movie without a doubt.
Yeah. All right. Moving out of May. No, wait. We're in May. Good
we're going.
Lord.
Yeah, we're in May now. Let's get out of France.
Yeah. Please. I love it here, but it's time to go home.
It is
somewhere else.
I've really enjoyed our stay. Like we'll definitely be back. But let's go back to the States. Let's
America. Here we go.
How about some low budget regional horror?
Fuck yeah. Here we go.
So like I had mentioned, like Invitation to Travel, my pick has just a little bit of horror sprinkled in. It leans a lot harder into its more dominant genre, which is Western.
Oh, we have not done this before. Okay.
This movie is The Devil's Mistress from 1965.
Okay.
It's about these 4 outlaws who are riding together, seemingly running from the law due to a robbery that may have involved a murder or two. And while they're on the run, they come across a remote cabin, and the man living there is very open, very kind, and invites them all in to eat and to rest, which they do. And they find out that the man has a beautiful companion who is a mute woman. So these are scumbag cowboys.
Okay.
So they kill the man and rape the woman. And they bring her along once they hit the trail again. And we start to follow how the woman can possibly take revenge on these cowboys. So it's kind of this old rape revenge type story, but handled in a kind of 1960s PG way almost.
Okay. I'm into it.
So some might find that it drags. You know, I'm a sucker for Westerns. I really like Westerns. I love dirtbag characters, and you get a lot of them in this. And also, it's just an hour. It's just over an hour long. It's like 66 minutes.
I saw this. I was like, 66 minutes? Are you serious?
Yeah, it's a short one.
I love you.
So if you're bored, if you don't love it, I think a lot of people will either love it or hate it. If you're bored, it's not going to last too long. All right. Yeah. But yeah, I wanted something short and simple because I know you're busy, and I'm pretty busy too this next couple of weeks too. So
and I'm going to be out of town for a week. I'll get to that.
Oh yeah.
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 Let's finish up your pick. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah. And I'm flying out to South Padre tomorrow. South Padre Island, baby.
Woo.
Get sunburned. No, just kidding. It's a wedding. But anyway, The Devil's Mistress. It's currently on Tubi. It's also on YouTube.
Okay.
It's only sitting at 96 views on Letterboxd. I recommend that you watch it with captions because the audio is a bit muddled at times, especially when you're dealing with these Southern drawls.
Okay.
You know, these cowboys sometimes talk like they have marbles in their mouth, which is endearing. But yeah, The Devil's Mistress. We're going to do it.
I'm excited. I'm mostly excited that it's 66 minutes.
Yeah, feel it. Embrace it. Enjoy it because of that reason alone.
Yeah, I will, because that's good because I've got a movie coming up down the line that's like over 2 hours long. We're making up for it.
Here we go.
Okay, if you are not already, you can follow this podcast on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, all at Unsung Horrors. I am at Instagram, Twitter, and Letterboxd at Hex Massacre. As I mentioned, I'm going to be in California for a week. My nephews are graduating, I guess, from high school. I don't remember their names, but apparently I have to be there for it. So I'm going to be there for a week, making my rounds, seeing my friends, eating some Del Taco, and I was able to sync up with Mike from See It on 16 Millimeter for a screening tied with the book. So we are going to be at the Frida Cinema in Santa Ana on Tuesday the 21st at 7:30 p.m. Tickets should be up. We're recording this a little early, so tickets aren't up yet, but by the time this comes out, I should be able to put link in show notes. So check show notes, but also just follow me on Instagram or one of the things, and I'll be promoting the hell out of it.
You can't say the movie yet because you're not sure.
I know what it is, but it's a secret screening.
Oh, it is? Oh, yes. Great. Cool.
And it's a lot of fun. It's a movie I love. It's in the book, obviously. I'll be there with copies of the book. So yeah, if you're in the area, Southern California, I mean, I know Southern California is a lot. So, I mean, if you're in Topanga Canyon. I don't expect you to drive down to Santa Ana. I understand.
Just road trip it.
But if
Like
you're
just
going-
strap your girlfriend to the roof of your car and head
stuff her
down.
in a cello, get down to Santa Ana on the 21st. I will be there, and I would love to meet some listeners and have a pack theater for a really fun 80s horror movie where children die.
That's exciting. Yeah, everybody who can make it and who have the means, do it, because the War Dogs screening that you did was
fun.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. I also have a book you can buy if you want. Link in bio or link in show notes.
Link in bio.
Links in my bio on Instagram. Tell your friends. Buy a copy. It's on Diabolic if you're international. Vinegar Syndrome already sold out, but
it's awesome.
They'll get more maybe around the time this episode comes out, but I'm only sending them 25 more. So anyway.
So get ready.
Yeah, they're selling out. So get yourself a copy if you want one. Please, thanks.
Yeah, it's so great to see the success the book's having. It makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, it's attention is uncomfortable, but I'm dealing with it. So
you're dealing with it like a champ. You're doing great.
I try. Thanks, guys. All right. Thanks, everyone, for listening. We'll see you back next episode for a 66-minute movie.
The Devil's Mistress.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Baby, we could share this kiss. We could know how we feel inside, instead of going down an endless road, not knowing if we're dead or alive.